Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon and welcome to this session. The art of leadership really is to help people. So why you need to understand this is that your role as a leader, particularly in the COVID-19 time, is to help people get and stay in their optimal state of performance. It is very key for us to know that where people actually get to their best, when people are actually at their best, that is when you get the best from those person. And so Daniel Goleman says that from a neurological point of view, this means that helping people get and stay in the best internal state. And what is that internal state? That best state of the brain, the optimal state, is called flow. The flow is that internal, the best internal state that employees are, and they feel happy, and they feel like they want to do great job. They can perform. And so that is the state you really want them to be. But you wouldn't be able to know if you do not understand how the stress hormone called cortisol, how it works, and how it's able to move what they call the mood swing. How it's always on if it is too little and if it is too high in individuals. So it is very important that we understand that. But it's important to know, so how do you get people to be in the flow state? How do you get people? So how do you get people to be in the flow state as a leader, particularly in the COVID-19 time? How do you get people to be in the flow state? So flow was discovered by researchers who asked one simple question of a huge variety of people. So they look at surgeons, ballerinas, business people, chess champions, people who are at their best, like the late Kobe Bryant of blessed memory. They want to know, how are you able to sustain that level? They want to know, trying to understand, how does the flow state, how does it work? So what they discovered was that it did not matter what domain of skills they were involved in. It doesn't matter whether you are a medical doctor. It doesn't matter whether in terms of whether you are a business person. It doesn't matter whether you are a basketball player, you are a football player, you are Messi, you are Ronaldo, you are Kobe, you are James. It doesn't really matter whether you are the chess master. But what they found out, that everyone who was outstanding at a particular moment was in the identical internal state. And that state, that flow state, if you are able to get your subordinate to that flow state, that is the only thing that matters. That those people, as a leader, particularly at this time, if you are able to harness the quality, if you're able to harness understand the emotional part of your subordinates, if you are able to understand the cortisol, and you're able to put them in that flow state, then you will get the best from them. But what are the characteristics of this flow state? What is the characteristics? The flow state is characterized by unperturbable attention. Those individuals, that leaders have been able to move them where they can give 200% or more. They are completely flexible and adaptable. Their leaders have moved them to the state where they are not rigid, they are innovative, they are creative. Whatever comes, they can handle it. People at that level, their skills are challenged to the highest levels. Their skills have been challenged by their bosses. And so it comes to one of the things I often find in organizations. And to be very frank, this part of the world is what you would call the performance appraiser, performance management, performance measurement process. I found out that when it comes to appraisal, people are very excited. Employees, even HR, they are very excited about that end of performance, which is where they need to determine the faith of their subordinate. When they begin to grade them, apportion score, begin to talk about the bonus they will get, the one they won't get. But they are not very particular. They are not very meticulous at the goal setting, the performance setting, the goal setting stage, and the quarterly or monthly, kind of appraiser to begin to see how the subordinate. Even some individuals, I did a training for an organization in Nigeria. They said they just wanted me to come and talk to their employees, about 70 employees, just to come and motivate them. I came to realize after the conversation that they don't set targets. There's no performance agreement. At the end of the year, I asked, so how do you rate your employees? Some seniors there are very excited to come and apportion fund, deprive people, but what are the performance measures? Even HR, a lot of times, are guilty. Performance professionals, they are guilty of this. So it is very, very important for us to know that you can use performance measurement, performance management to drive individuals, to drive employees into the flow state. And it is that flow state that you can get the best. And I will go back to the slide to read that last word again, which is very important, by Daniel Goleman. I said, the leader's task is to, the leader's job from this point of view is to help subordinates to get and stay in flow, in that flow state. How are you going to do that? That is kind of a secret weapon that has to do with a big discovery called the social brain. It is very, very important. So the state that people are performing at their best is also that state they feel at their best. Daniel Goleman said that if you take people to that flow state is where your subordinates perform at their best. And that is also the state that they are at their best. Just take note of this. That state that individuals perform at their best is actually the state they feel at their best. Imagine when you have employees who feel at their best, and that is the flow state that we have talked about. I wanted us to go back so that we can understand how the flow state works and what are some of the characteristics that embodies that flow state. So let's move on to this. So how can leaders help their people get to stay in the flow? So how do we get to stay, our subordinate, to stay in the flow? So a smart leader, an effective leader, an EI leader, emotional intelligent leader, an emotional quotient, a leader who is high in emotional intelligence can help subordinate get and stay in the flow by doing certain things. Set clear goals. If you have a performance appraisal process, I've seen HR, I've seen performance professional, they don't take the performance setting, that one that happens in November, December, January, February, and in some organizations even in March, the goals of what you need to achieve in the year, you need to set it, it has to be very clear. Hicks and Gullit in 1982 said, if you don't know where you are going to, any road might lead you there. But perhaps if you don't know where you are going to, no road will get you there. And there must be constant feedback from a line manager to a subordinate. It is very critical. What I found is the lack of leadership, where a lot of leaders in this climb, they don't take it seriously. And when it comes to the end of the year, they want to determine the fate. Leadership is the ability to influence others to achieve common goals. If you are not able to influence your subordinate rightly, correctly, it's very important. Lastly on this, I will say that it is also important for when people are moved into certain positions, it is very, very important that leaders, particularly learning and development leaders, ensure that the right leadership skills are given. Unfortunately, we are in an environment where people go and learn courses for 2 weeks. They say they are experts, and they learn emotional intelligence for 2 weeks. They say they are experts. And so everybody in Nigeria is an expert. So the question is, people who have read for 11 years, for 15 years, for 20 years, done research, what should they call themselves? And so that is why I always decide not to call myself an expert. I'm a scholar. I just read, I research. That is what I do. So even providers of training, it's important for you to look at materials, conduct proper screening for vendors, and begin to understand Those that will be facilitating, what is their pedigree? What have they done? Go to LinkedIn, look at their profile, look at their content. What do they have? Check their write-up. Go to the area of research. Have they researched? There was a time somebody came to train us on internal control. The gentleman was training us with 1992 COSO integrated internal control framework. In 2017, when there was a 2013 model, and I said, why are you coming here to teach us with what you will call residual knowledge? I didn't tell him. I brought my rational brain. I waited. When the training was over, I called the gentleman and I encouraged him that, look, it is not okay. Even if you want to use the old model, like for example, if I'm teaching enterprise risk management, I might talk about the 2004 model. I might even decide to use the COSO, the Q, the ERM framework. However, I must talk about the 2017 COSO enterprise management framework. I must try to tell people they are changing. In research, it is not acceptable. When there are newer models, when there are newer ways of doing things, you cannot, you should not use the old model. So those in HR, those in L&D, those who are leaders, and I've also found leaders, the personal development plans of your subordinate, it is very critical. It is more critical at this time for us to ensure that our subordinates, we shall take direct interest, the kind of learning. How does it relate to the areas they have gaps, the areas they need to improve upon, or they need to improve on? It is very important. Don't go. We need to share those 3 programs. And so it is good to have EI skills, but EI skill is not enough. You need other behaviors in your repertoire. You need other behaviors. You need transformational leadership behavior. You need authentic leadership. You need servant leadership. And you will still need more. Howard Gardner said you need multiple intelligences. So thank you very much, and thank you for your time, and God bless you, and God bless Nigeria.